Okay, Frank, go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, so my question is, what do you think God expects exactly from us?
He expects us to understand more than what we've understood so far. It takes a long time to evolve as a person, but it it is basically the constant and end goal of existence. Uh, he expects us to learn more and more with each passing day, even if it's just a little bit. And if we fail in this, it's not like he's an angry father that'll beat us down. That karma will completely turn against us. We have a lot of chances. If we constantly fail in those chances, we might get beat a little bit by karma. Not literally, but figuratively. Um, and when that happens, we have to just accept that there's a lesson we need to learn. Um, Really, this whole world, this whole universe, even is really more like a school than a universe or uh, a hell or a heaven. This everything that's connected to this universe, below and above, before we reach the spirit beyond creation, where we meld into God, it's all connected in a way that helps us to learn, helps us to evolve as people, as souls. All intelligent life works that way. All consciousness works that way. Animals, plants, uh, everything is designed so that we progress steadily towards merging back into God. And then that's the reason why we were sent out in the first place. Uh, to So God and all of us are a part of God ultimately, so we could experience ourselves and learn from the experience, and then meld back into God and hold those experiences as dear to Himself. Anyway, do you have another question, Frank?
Okay, so some scriptures speaks about perfection and trying to strive for perfection as Jesus did. So is that not our mission?
Yes. Getting closer and closer to the spirit beyond creation. That is greater and greater degrees of perfection. Uh, we consistently remove corruptions from our understanding and our practices, and work towards that ultimate goal of joining with God. Jesus, in essence, was a piece of God that descended not in a fall, but descended to aid every other soul here. Uh, Avatars include beings like Krishna, Buddha, the historical Buddha, Jesus. Muhammad was a prophet, but he was also a prophet of God, obviously. And Narayana was another avatar. But they were sent down not in a fall, but in a state where they knew their mission, and they had a mission to fulfill in order to help us perfect ourselves by showing what perfection was. And the more we come into tune with the avatars and their teachings, the more perfect we become as people. Uh, anyway, do you have another question?
Yes. So striving for perfection would seem to be our goal,
Yeah.
but obviously many of us would fail dramatically at that attempt. So what is in store for us who cannot conquer our fears, who cannot conquer
Desires.
our desires?
Yeah.
What is-
What's in store? Painful lessons. I mean, but they're not. It's not always like either or. We're like either you succeed completely or you fail completely, or sent to hell for a time or ever. I believe anyone who's sent to hell is just for a time. But it's not. It's not either or. You don't just go all the way up or all the way down. There's a whole bunch of different levels in between. If you fail at being a human to the extent where you hurt other people, where you are so selfish that you completely ignore your responsibilities in life, your responsibilities to others, then you may be reborn as an animal, some kind of animal that pretty much embodies the kind of life that you lived.
Okay.
If you were a chameleon in life, if you constantly tried to blend in but had your own purposes, then you might be reborn as a chameleon.
Yes, and that belief follows that belief of being
Follows.
reborn,
Yeah, as reincarnation.
reincarnation, which
And
is
is in Hinduism and Buddhism and some other faiths. There's actually some Christians that believe in reincarnation now, including Origin, which was I think 1600s, 1700s Christian theologian. But there's a lot of traditions that believe in reincarnation, especially recently. Vodou, Modern paganism has beliefs of reincarnation along bloodlines, but it's a school system, and there's many different grades, and when you fail in your task, you could go further down in a grade, maybe many grades, but it's always a system of working your way up, failing and going down, and then working your way back up. So that's where that question stands. Do you have any more questions? Or?
Some Christians, I mean, to expand on this, some Christians
don't believe in reincarnation because
Yep.
it opens up the door to infinite evil.
Infinite evil. Okay. Well, I believe evil is illusion. Evil is not something that exists beyond its effect on virtue. Evil is a corruption. It does not have any substance beyond its effect on that which is pure. Just because there is a possibility for many, many reincarnations doesn't mean that the school will fail. The school of life, the school of the universe, the school of the multiverse, the different dimensions, it's meant to help people progress and move upward towards God. And I have belief in the school system. The school system isn't flawed because God essentially made it so that we can work towards Him. It's not something that will fail in the long term, and is not something that is easy to see in the short term. But as time progresses, all intelligent beings will see that we're moving closer and closer to our source and that which we must return in the end.
Okay, so then it would be illusion to think something's infinite. So therefore,
anything that is not merged into God or is not God right now is enveloped in some level of illusion.
So that's what I think. Is not to think of infinity because that's God's domain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, only in God's domain does infinity truly exist, and that's the spirit beyond creation. It's not, in essence, it's kind of like an infinite domain where there's only one inhabitant that we're all meant to become part of once more. And really, the illusion of infinite space is simply that, an illusion. It folds in on itself, and it is confined in many senses. But we will see that as we evolve and as our ability to understand what's around us progresses. But I think we're close to the end here.
Last question.
But yeah, one
Last
more question.
So
The last question I had was on
talking about good and evil, good versus evil.
Uh-huh. Purity versus corruption.
Yeah. So do you think that we're destined to be? So in Hindus believe that you reincarnate. So therefore, it's some kind of judgment system, right? You're being judged depending on your actions.
Depending on just either the skillfulness or unskillfulness of your actions.
Okay. So my question is, do you think we have already been judged, or we will be judged?
Predestination. I believe that God knows everything that'll happen, but He doesn't choose for us. He knows the choices that we will make, but He didn't make those choices Himself. God, just by the pure nature of His omniscience, His omnipotence, His omnipresence, He knows exactly what will happen, but that doesn't mean that He influences what will happen, that He makes the choices for us. It's kind of hard to understand because you think that just because God knows everything that He would be the one who decides for us, but He doesn't. He knows everything, and He is the only being that truly knows everything, the spirit beyond creation, which is Godhead, the true form of God without illusion, the God that we're all meant to return to.
So one last question.
Uh-huh.
I know we want to wrap this up real quick here,
Yeah.
but so therefore, should we follow God in heaven, which is omniscient, omnipotent, correct?
Yeah,
omniscient. But you would agree Jesus gave some kind of
renunciation.
Renounced some of His powers, right?
He renounced the physical connection between Himself and God. He was a flake of gold that was chipped off of the ingot, in a sense, the infinite ingot, if that's something that anybody can imagine. But he is the Jesus is the same gold, but he chose to be isolated in the sense that he wasn't quite to the level of omniscience that the spirit beyond creation was, but he came from that same omniscience. So he could see what would happen. It wouldn't take a whole lot to predict what would happen in this world, because especially from one who came from a being that was omniscient. But he was